All right, we'll get started. Good morning and welcome to another Business to Business webinar series. That was Brighter Than Gold by the Cat Empire. A bit of a shout out to our folks, our entertainers down in Melbourne who are doing it very tough at the moment. Cat Empire, obviously a Melbourne band, and I've seen them live a couple of times. They're awesome. This is the Business to Business webinar series. This is one of a, obviously, series. And we have been working our way through the Business to Business book that was compiled by Jackie Thompson. So we are up to chapter 11 or 12 now. We're actually doing it completely in order. So this is one of the best chapters in the book. This is the last chapter by Hayley Wilson. If you've not been on one of these webinars before, welcome. If you have, welcome back. We record each of these and they're available on the Logan Chamber of Commerce website under recording. So if there's stuff that you miss, certainly come back to me. I think Hayley will allow us to share the slides that she's got and we'll put those live with the recording. Again, if you haven't been on one of these before, down the bottom, you'll see in the controls, you've got chat and quick Q&A. You can also raise your hand. So I'll be monitoring that during the webinar. And if you do have a question for Hayley, please put it in there and I will bring it up. And if not, we'll get to it at the end. But we only have a limited amount of time. So I'm going to introduce Hayley Wilson now. Hayley, are you there?
Yeah, morning, Stuart.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. What I will do, because your topic is really work-life fusion, and I really loved that it was actually at the end of the book to actually wrap everything up. It was actually a clever thing, I thought, by Jackie to actually bring in what's such an essential chapter right at the end of the book. Now, you've got some slides for us, is that right?
I do, yes.
All right, so if you start sharing those, you should be able to, I'll stop my share there.
How's that? Can everybody see that?
Yeah, well, currently we're seeing the whole PowerPoint, but that's fine. We can work with that. Or if you go to slideshow.
How's that?
There we go. That looks
beautiful.
Fantastic. All right, take it away.
Fantastic, thank you. Well, yes, my chapter was on work-life fusion, and what's really interesting is that I wrote this chapter with sort of an image in my mind that people would be able to start mapping their own days and their own lives, particularly in small business and as sole traders, and that we wouldn't be restrained by the 9-to-5 work day and going into an office. And then just a few short months later, COVID hit, and then suddenly we've all been thrown into this lifestyle that my chapter was all written around. So it's been really fascinating to watch it all come together and exciting to help people adapt to that new way of thinking. Morning, Rhiannon. So I'll just quickly flick through a few things. So obviously you are the most valuable asset in your business, and it's really important that you also remember that you're the most valuable asset in your life as well. And so we want to bring that fusion together, because what we're seeing so often is that people can get stuck in just working all the time and forget that they're able to sort of adapt and get into flow with different things. And it's really easy now to start changing the way that we're looking at how we work. So in my career, I've done a lot of things that have sort of brought me to this place where I'm at now. And I have been an award winner at the Logan, what was it? Awards nights? Sorry, Stuart, I can't remember what they're called. It was a little while ago now.
No, it's Business Distinction Awards. That was cool. And a finalist as well. Like, it's not just a one-shot wonder.
Yeah, thank you, Stuart. And so what's really brought me here is a series of 8 years of education into what we call epigenetics, and understanding that everybody's body and system is completely unique. And so I'm going to break that down for you guys a little bit today, so that you can understand how you can create ease, grace and flow with fusion for both work and life, and get the most out of every minute of your day with your time, your focus and your energy. So that's something I bring up a lot in my chapter, is time, focus and energy. The more we can use and adapt those to our advantage, the more productivity we're going to get out of our day, the better our relationships are going to be, the more energy we're going to have for our work and for our family. And it's just about understanding how your body is wired. So as I said, increasing the productivity in your most valuable asset, and that is you. So I'm going to flick through this bit a little bit quickly because I talk quickly. So the other thing to understand is that it's not just about your physical energy that we have, it's your mental energy, your social ability, your hormones. It comes down to absolutely, it's a completely holistic idea of looking at who you are as a working machine as such, because, you know, we build our businesses on our machines. Like we have, you know, Shane, he's got taxis. So he drives taxis. They've got to make sure that machines all run effectively, right? Or else then his business can't function. Other people, like, you know, we've got IT specialists and stuff, they're working with machines all the time, and computers and printers and scanners and, you know, security equipment. So everything has to function really well. But we forget that as business owners, we need to be the most effectively oiled and best working machine that we have, and so do our staff, and particularly as small businesses and as sole traders, because we're often doing more than one task at a time, and we're often being pulled from, you know, different areas of the business to be doing different things at different times. And we need to have that clarity in our mind. We need to be able to change the way we're thinking really quickly and be able to respond really quickly. And the best way to do that is to have the right kind of energy at the right time of day. So understanding how you perform best, right? So we start off with your genotype, so your genetics, and then your epigenetics, which is my space, which I love. I absolutely love epigenetics, spend a lot of time studying this. And then that makes the phenotype. So that brings up you, who you are as an individual. And now most people are probably thinking, you know, this is all health stuff. What's she talking about? How's this going to help us as business owners? But when you're looking at that fusion of your work and your life, you are the key to that fusion. You are at the center of everything, and you need to be able to function at the best for the longest amount of time possible as well. Because, you know, we have people talk about, oh, I want to live for a long time or whatever, or, you know, a hard and fast life and things like that. But to me, at the end of the day, it gets down to quality of life. The length of your life isn't as important as the quality of your life. You know, if the longer we can have it, absolutely. But if you can still have a great quality of life as you're going through the stages of your business, and as you're going through the stages of your relationships, and as you're getting 10, 20, 30, 40 years down the track, we want to maintain that really good quality of life. And that comes down to you from a holistic approach. So your genetics, this is where it gets really cool. So if you think of your genetics as just a snapshot image of who you are, it's like your profile picture on your social media, or it's like the billboard on the way to the movies. It's just a black and white printout. This is your genetics. This is who you are. It sort of just tells a story, an in the moment story, but that's kind of it. You don't really get to know much more about yourself as an individual just from your genetics. But where I work is with, can I make this play? Your epigenetics. So it is everything about you. It is the movement. It's like the motion action picture. So you're not just seeing the billboard, you are seeing the whole story. It is the prequel and the sequel. It is the sound and the taste and the resonance and the noise and everything that is to do with that. Your epigenetics is the complete expression of what your genetics are doing. And that is what we learn to harness in order to get the most out of your time, your focus, and your energy. So no matter how we look at it, we are all completely unique, just like our little snowflakes. And it's really, really important to understand that, because what we often see in workplaces or with many, many coaches, or even in families, is that we sort of think that there's this one size fits all plan that's supposed to work for everybody. Because often someone, you know, we see trainers online, or we see coaches or business owners, and they say, you know what, this is what works for me. Everybody has to do it this way. This is the way we get it done because I've found the roadmap and this is it, and everybody has to do it exactly like this, and you get given this print off plan and this is how you're going to live your life. And that worked really well for them, and that's fantastic, but it's not necessarily going to work really well for everybody else, because we are all completely unique. The times when we should be making phone calls to customers, it's going to be different for everybody, because our sociability comes in at different times. The times when we need to be stopping and having a break, or when we should be logging on to work, or when, for me, sitting down doing the quiet work on the computer, or the data stuff and the emails. Oh my goodness. I don't feel like there's a good time of day at all for me to be doing that, but it's certainly not at lunchtime, because it would just put me straight to sleep. Whereas other people would thrive at that. They would happily sit there and do all of that work while they eat their lunch, so that they can get out and do something more active in their business in the afternoon. So we all need to find the right map for us. And a really amazing way to demonstrate this is with this image. Now, I know you guys can't really talk to me, But I'm just going to give you a second to have a look at these two ladies and see if there's anything that you can pick up between these two women that might be unique. Just give you a second. So most people might be going, oh, you know, are they related? Are they sisters? You know, what's happening here? They're actually identical twins. Now, this is where you can see the difference between genetics and epigenetics being really important, because if we look at that printout of these two ladies, the black and white or the billboard or the profile picture or the snapshot of who they are, their genetics are identical. They could not be more alike. They are absolutely identical. And yet from the moment they were conceived, their epigenetics were functioning differently. Now, these two women were conceived at the same time. They grew in the same womb. They were born on the same day. They were raised by the same mother in the same household, fed from the same groceries, went to the same school. They wore matching clothes because they were twins of the 80s. So, you know, it was back when you dressed your twins to be absolutely identical in every way. They did the same sports. They had the same friends. Everything was identical. These children were raised to be exactly the same. But as you can see, one of the twins has absolutely thrived and the other one has really struggled, and that's been demonstrated in her weight. There's a lot of different ways that our struggles can be demonstrated. This one's just really obvious because it is her weight. So what we can see from that is that the epigenetics is different. Her needs were completely different. So the needs of one twin were met perfectly. Everything worked exactly how she needed it to. She was always faster and fitter at the sports. She was always more adaptive in the classroom. She performed better in class. She made friends easier. The food they were eating obviously matched her really well. And so because mum believed, well, it's working for one twin, it should be working for the other, the blame of the other twin not thriving so well was actually placed on her, this little girl, this individual, that, you know, if it's working for this one, should be working for you, right? You're identical. But their epigenetics were different. So if you think about you know, circadian rhythm, we all understand that there's a universal rule that when the sun goes to bed, humans go to bed, and when the sun gets up, humans get up. You know, it's this universal rule that we all know to be true. However, within that one time clock, that one function of the human body, there can be a 5-hour difference between when one person should be going to bed and when another should be going to bed. And then the same on the other side, a 5-hour difference between when one person should be getting up and another getting up. And that's a pretty big gap out of a 24-hour window. There's 10 hours of difference there. So if you think of that one function of the human body, if someone thrived better at going to bed at 7 o'clock, say the thriving twin, and the other one had done better going to bed at 10 o'clock, their whole lives could have actually worked out very differently. And so we can see that in every single function of the body. Every function of our body, whether it be our hormones, our sociability, our brain activity, our digestive system, our physical energy, all these different things have a completely unique clock within our systems, and each of those clocks are completely unique to us. And it's about understanding how our epigenetics are working for us. And it's not, as you can see, necessarily going to be exactly the same as the person sitting next to you at the next desk over, or the way your brother did things because his business is doing better than yours, or the way your mum did things because it worked for her, or even how your cousin is doing what they're doing. It's about finding what's completely unique for you and how your clock is going to help you get the best time, focus, and energy out of every day. So I hope this is making sense. And I apologize, I do talk very fast. I get very excited about my work. So phenotypology, this is finding you, the individual, and we actually combine 15 different sciences to do that. It's pretty amazing. And obviously when I'm working with my clients, I get really excited because these days I can look at people and start to unpack, you know, how their clock will be working. But when I actually get to sit down and we do what's a skeletal measurement, so run lots of different data points off your current skeletal frame and plug that into some amazing software, and that brings out where you are in life with your epigenetics and how each function of your body needs to be adapted and how you can get into flow with your system instead of being in force against it. So as you can see, there's many different types of sciences there. Embryology, which is really cool, understanding how the 3 cells came together to form you, an individual. Oh, it's so exciting. Most people don't think so, but I do. I'm very sciencey. Where you are in the world, all sorts of different things. And where are we up to? Oh, so just quickly flick through this. I kept these in here because obviously when we're doing education, there's lots of different slides that we use. So just an example of how in-depth this goes. And I'll bring it to this slide here because this is where I was looking at the circadian rhythm, right? You know, we all know that there is a clock that says we go to bed and we wake up. And if you were born on one side of the world and you move to a different side of the world, some people will never actually adapt. Anytime they go back to the place of origin, they will just fall back into rhythm with going to bed at that time and waking up at that time. Some people do. Some people's circadian rhythm does adapt to move into the other side of the world, but they will always find that going home to where they were born will actually be quite easy. And so the circadian rhythm in us is one of the slowest internal clocks to change. However, if we're looking at your digestive system, it can be as simple as 3 days teaching your body to eat at a different time, and your body will start to produce digestive acids at that time after only 3 days. So your digestive clock is really adaptive, and we can change that really quickly to make sure that you're getting the most brain energy. If you know that you need to sit down and really be creative and really use the energy in your brain at a certain time of day, then we can adapt your food around that to make sure that you've got that energy there for you, which is generally a carbohydrate energy, because the only macronutrient that charges your brain is carbohydrates. So again, completely unique to what it is that you're doing. But each of the clocks are really important. And there's a lot of people out there that we see that, you know, really should not be getting up before 6 a.m. because their hormones are actually balancing themselves between 5 and 6 o'clock in the morning. So if they're setting their alarm before 6 o'clock in the morning, they're interrupting the hormone change in their body. And so for the entire day, their hormones are just sort of going, oh, what am I doing? What am I doing? Which throws out everything. Could you imagine sitting at your desk and trying to bring together, I don't know, whatever it is that you do in your business? Everyone's completely unique. Your marketing plan, like that's the hardest one for me, and being creative, but your hormones haven't been able to regulate themselves well enough that morning. It's really, really difficult for someone to do that. And there's people out there that I won't allow them to book their first client until 10 a.m. because they need that time in their morning to let their body settle in. And then they're just off and racing, and it's beautiful. And this is what I've loved about COVID, right? Because all my clients are now working from home, and we can totally adapt their daily routine and what they're doing to exactly getting into flow with their epigenetics, and their time, focus, and energy is on point. It's beautiful. So it means that when they're finishing up work and they're spending time with their family, that work-life fusion is just happening and getting into flow so beautifully. And it all starts with embryology. So it all starts with that magic moment where mummy and daddy sort of went, yay, and you were created, right? So what happens at that moment is 2 cells come together, and then it separates down to 36 cells, and then it comes back into 3. And the way the energy transfers between those last 3 cells when they come together to form the embryo is what defines so much about how your epigenetics are going to function from that day forward. And by doing that skeletal measurement that I do, I can actually tell you how your embryo was formed, which, you know, some people like, some people don't like. They don't want to think about that. But I think it is absolutely amazing. And then from that moment, it's environment and lifestyle, and everything that is influencing our lives from there has an influence on that, and that's what creates you. So if you're wanting to really be able to kick back and enjoy your time on a Friday afternoon with your friends, wouldn't it be great if you knew how to get the most out of the rest of Friday to make sure that when you got to that point in the afternoon, you've been able to tick off everything on your box, you've still got lots of energy, and you've got, you know, that's when you're social and you can hang out with your friends and fill your cup in that way. Or if your kids pop in, if we're homeschooling, gosh, just saw this morning that Logan has its first confirmed case of coronavirus, and our first school has been shut down. We could all be back to homeschooling again soon. I don't know if you guys have got kids, but I do. It's not fun. So if I'm in here working and my kids need help, you know, if I know the best time of day when they need to be functioning on their work and when I need to be doing mine, we can completely adapt our days so that we're going to get the most out of individual needs. Well, let's hope it doesn't get to that, though. I was not a fan of homeschooling. So obviously there's a lot of things that can be affected by this. You know, if you're sitting in your office and you're suffering from headaches, or you cannot get energy, which is what most people come to me for. They sort of say, look, oh, I just feel drained. I just don't have any energy, Hayley. And it's simply the energy's there. they're just not tapping into it at the right time of day. They're either exercising at the wrong time for them, or they're eating at the wrong time for them. And we're generally consuming enough, really, most of us are. It's just experiencing the benefits of the energy that we're consuming that's really important. If you're getting digestive issues, like if you're sitting down at the wrong time of day, if you aren't sleeping, some people should be going to bed much later than they are and getting up later. Others need to be going to bed earlier than they are and getting up earlier, and just finding that for themselves. So there's lots of different things that can be affected, but really when you're looking at your health, anything can come into play, can't it? So timing and priorities are everything. I work with a local accountant. She is absolutely amazing, a beautiful, beautiful woman. And she came to me, and she was doing sort of, the fitness industry standard of get up in the morning and exercise and then eat 5 protein meals a day. And, sort of that was what she was doing to try to get her health on track and get her energy throughout the day. And then she'd go into her office, and it was a stark white office just with computer screens, and sort of, there wasn't much in there. And she was just finding that she just didn't have her energy for her work every day. She just didn't, she'd get home in the afternoons and just be really flat. So her time with her family wasn't great, as well as her time at work. She sort of wasn't functioning the way that she wanted to. She's an extremely intelligent woman. Oh my gosh, amazing. She just wasn't even able to access all of that easily because she just felt drained all the time. So when she came to see me, I could see that she was what I would call a diplomat. And the food and exercise are actually really far down the list. As you can see, oh no, that's not her list, that's mine. But anyway, food and exercise are pretty low on the list for a diplomat. And the first thing I knew that she needed to change was environment and timing. So for her, she needs to take it easy in the mornings. I was like, stop getting up and exercising in the morning, and let's get you outside. So instead of going to the gym in the morning, she would go for a walk around the lake near her house in the afternoons. She didn't have to eat breakfast. Not everyone needs to eat breakfast. It's not for her. She needed her hormones to do their thing at that time of day, and she didn't have to book clients early in the morning. And then the meals she did eat were very veggie heavy, almost a pescatarian type of diet. And she lost 3 kilos in 3 weeks simply because we changed her morning routine. I got her to bring plants and some environmental pictures into her office, which settled her office space for her and made her environment really important. And ever since, she has just been going from strength to strength and is absolutely thriving, and she's glowing every day. So she still goes to work every day. She still does all the things she needs to do. We just simply changed the timing, and all the other elements of her life have become so much easier. And her time at home with her husband, she's got more energy for her family. And then she, when you see her in the office, she just adapts really quickly to all the things that need to be done. And it was a really simple change, really, really simple change. It was beautiful to see. So time, focus, and energy is everything for me. It really is, and it all comes down to how we use our epigenetics. And particularly during this time with COVID, this is the time where we as sole traders and small business owners really get to redefine the way that we are doing our day every day. I have completely reshaped the way that I'm running my business since COVID hit. I got shut down completely overnight, which was massive and heartbreaking at the time, but it's given me this amazing opportunity to go, you know what, I'm going to map this so that my clients get the best from me at the time when they need it, and I can give back to myself, my kids, my husband, as I absolutely need to. And, since COVID's hit, you would think that I would be really struggling, but more people have said I'm glowing than anything else. And it's simply because I went, great, I'm going to wipe the slate clean. I'm going to make this all adapted to what my epigenetics are, and then match my clients into that. So depending on where we fall on the scale, you can see here that everybody sort of is going to fall into different categories. And then from those categories, we then bring that down to you. And eventually this circle is going to be a sphere, and it's just the science of epigenetics is amazing, and it's taking off at an unbelievable rate at the moment. But the lady I was talking about before, she's a diplomat, so she falls into the lower right-hand corner down here. So she's a combination of Vata and Kapha sort of energy. And the diplomats fascinate me more than anybody else. I personally am a connector, so I'm up the top there, but I'm very, very close to the guardian end. So for me, oxytocin is the driving hormone for health in my body. So that connection to people is really really important. Whereas for the diplomat, it's serotonin. Serotonin is what's going to balance the health in her body. So it was about her gut health and her sleep that was really important. And every single different area on this scale changes the way that we sort of start mapping the timing of day for everybody, the way we eat, the way we move, when we talk to people, when we connect with people, when we sit and do our quiet data work, when we need to be creative, when our body is feeling strong and when our body is feeling weak. Because people come and say, oh, I get tired. Well, tired's actually good. We're supposed to get tired. It's a natural function of the body. We're supposed to get hungry. You know, that's a natural function of our body. It's communicating with us. It's when we're getting things like headaches and constant fatigue and digestive issues that we can really see things aren't going well, or we're storing a lot more energy than we really should be, or we're craving foods that we know we shouldn't be eating. That's communication with our body to say, you know what? Something's out of alignment here. We're not in flow. And if we want to get that work-life fusion happening really nicely, it's about getting into flow with how our body wants us to express itself, and then adapting that into everything else. So just quickly, if anyone is interested in learning more about this for themselves as individuals, I am doing a special for the chambers at the moment for $1,200. Just for this program. It's normally $1,800 to do that process with me. And we do have, we do 3 coaching sessions and get you all set up, but as long as you need, I'll always be here, and you get 12 months using the software that adapts itself to you guys all the way along. So I haven't seen any questions come through, Stuart. I don't know about you. I tried to get through that in time, and I think I did, actually.
You did really well. You did really, really well.
Thank you.
So, Hayley, in terms of driving different business ideas, like I love the way this all ties together, but have you got some examples where like getting in touch with epigenetics has actually made a difference to the bottom line?
Well, I did with that accountant. For the bottom line, I don't have any stats on that, no. Okay. I have the experience of seeing my clients doing well, but I wouldn't be able to bring up, this is exactly dollar figure changes or anything like that. Sorry.
But yeah. No, that's all right. It's just really interesting because it obviously does make a change. And it would be lovely to try and actually start tracking, because you've got quite a few clients, like to see that kind of benefit, because it really is a thing that can make a massive difference. So
absolutely.
Just being able to see what that looks like in terms of, and I know it's going to be sort of for everyone, as you say, we're all unique. It's going to be a different thing for different businesses. How do people, like, is there obviously you've got your, the way that you work it out. How would people know if they're one of those particular types, for example? Is there like a questionnaire or some way that they sort of fill that in, or is that part of what is more of what you do?
So you can get a rough idea. I can send a link and you can do like a free quiz online through my website. However, it's not as accurate, obviously.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, if you were to come and see me, then we get it to really precise detail. So if people are curious and wanting to know about the free quiz they can shoot me an email or through Facebook, which is Love Yourself Healthy with Hayley Wilson. And say
that again, but slower.
Love Yourself Healthy with Hayley Wilson on Facebook. There you go. And I can send the link to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like it's there, but when you know how to do it well, it makes a bit of a difference.
Right. I'm just typing that in there. Love Yourself Healthy with Hayley Wilson. That's there in the chat for you guys. Does anyone have a question? I have seen quite a few people popping on and maybe they're dropping out or popped off and then they're coming back. So there may be a few little glitches on the net at the moment. All right. Well, what I'll do is we'll leave it there because you did wrap up almost perfectly at 8:30. Thank you so much.
No worries.
And
it is a lot of info, Rhiannon. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot to get through. That's really, really cool. All right, so as I was saying at the start, this is part of a series, and next week from 8 till 8:30, we will have the Honourable Shannon Fentiman, but it won't be like this. So Shannon is going to be at a breakfast. We have a breakfast on the 5th at Fitzy's at Waterford. We have a hard limit because of the venue and coronavirus of 90 people, and we have 71 booked in already. We have 19 tickets left, and we haven't even got, well, we're just now into the last week. We usually sort of sell out 50% in the last week. So I know this one's going to be oversubscribed. I know there are going to be people that aren't going to be able to get in, which is why we're going to continue the webinar series and actually record it while we're there. And Shannon will speak from 8 till 8:30 and answer questions, and that will be the webinar. And if you're actually there live, and I know Stuart George has got a ticket. Hi, Stuart. We'll be doing lots of networking, and there's the weird trade table, all sorts of fantastic stuff. So it's going to be a really good breakfast. Stuart is letting Hayley know he's got a connection for her already. That's fantastic. Joanna Apps, thanks Hayley, a real eye-opener. All right, after that we've got, in the week following that, we'll be doing the second to last webinar, which is Terry Skeen, Starting Your Own Business. Terry runs and is the founder of Kingston Park Raceway. He was also involved in setting up community banks in Logan. He's been very heavily involved in the Chamber of Commerce and is in fact a life member. So that one will be very interesting as well. But until then, what I would say is, oh, hang on, I better do our sponsors, or forget our sponsors. This is our Chamber Committee. They do a fantastic job, and the amount of work these folk put in the background to keep the Chamber running is absolutely amazing. So if you ever see them, shake their hand, pat them on the back, buy them a beer. And of course, our sponsors, the Logan Office of Economic Development, Invest Logan 101 FM, Meadowbrook Golf Club, Rebel 90.5 and The Breeze, and of course IKEA. And if you want to sponsor the Chamber, we would love to talk to you. All right, that's it from me. Stay safe. If you are at as Hayley pointed out, the Park Ridge Christian College have had a confirmed outbreak. So if you're out that way, just look after yourself. And we will catch up with you next week, and we'll go out with a little bit more of the Cat Empire, given that we're thinking about our friends in Victoria. This is Hello, Hello.